At this moment, you perceive strength as a matter of strength, affluence, or power. However, they serve as embellishments rather than sources of authority. Indeed, the essence of strength often eludes the eye. It is an unwavering determination that forges rulers, undaunted by the prospect of total loss. The chill determination that enables individuals to traverse flames without hesitation. Although the majority of individuals pursue solace, the resilient forge themselves to withstand suffering they do not possess. I aspire for life to exhibit benevolence. They engage in preparation for when it exhibits a lack of compassion. Each day, the world exists, evaluating your capabilities. It observes to discern the location you fracture, the obligations you are unable to fulfill, an unforeseen act of treachery, the apprehension that occupies your thoughts during the night. Commonplace individuals often evade these challenges. Remarkable individuals employ them. They do not await the tempest will eventually subside. They enter into it and emerge with greater clarity. Machiavelli articulated that fortune is bestowed upon those who are methodical, relentless, and fearless in the face of selflessness. This video does not pertain to the concept of motivation. It transcends the mere desire for approval. It pertains to crafting a determination so resolute that neither anguish nor trepidation nor failure has the capacity to shape it. Should you desire, it is advisable to seek solace elsewhere at this moment. However, should you wish to achieve a state of invulnerability, should you desire it, attain extraordinary strength, continue observing. The initial phase toward extraordinary strength is to dispel the misconception that existence will continue gentle with you. The world exhibits a profound lack of equity. It is indifferent to your kindness or talent, or replete with possibilities. It is not a matter of anticipation to acknowledge your commendable conduct. It is honing its instruments. Should it be the case that one finds oneself ensconced within the confines of familiarity, contemplating your position is secure, yet you are already at a disadvantage, observe at the individuals in your vicinity. They adhere to their routines with the same fervor as a child clings to covering. They rise in pursuit of warmth, enjoyment, diversion. They meticulously steer clear of any form of discomfort. Furthermore, that is the reason they tend to fracture with such ease. An obstacle, a treachery, a singular instance of genuine strain, and they falter, as they have not engaged in the necessary self-training to endure intentionally. Machiavelli comprehended this truth is understood more profoundly by no one else. He cautioned, princes must remain resolute and unyielding within their personal boundaries. Comfort undermines the essence. A sovereign who insulates himself from adversity grows feeble, and ineffective leaders forfeit their crowns. The same holds for you as well. If to attain an unyielding state, one must make a deliberate choice. The anguish you endure prior to life selection for your consideration. This entails the elimination of each opulence that blunts your acuity. Awaken sooner than anticipated. Extend your efforts beyond. Do you believe you possess the capacity to withstand? Refrain from indulgence. The subtle pleasures you quietly recognize are cultivating a gentler disposition within you. The individuals who deplete, one finds oneself in contemplation of your essence. When you exert mastery over your pain, it cannot be utilized to your detriment. Contemplate a blade is being meticulously forged. The metal undergoes a process of being shaped and refined, consumed and submerged repeatedly until it transforms into a perilous entity. Should you embody that blade, what would be the count of your strikes? Would you endure before you reached your breaking point? Each challenge you willingly confront is yet another strike of the hammer, yet another. The eruption of flames, a further progression towards achieving an unwavering resilience. Do not await life's examination of your capabilities, conditions. Engage in self-assessment initially. Explore engage in a purposeful struggle. It is because you embrace your suffering, and you shall possess your strength. At what point the world endeavors to subdue you, it certainly will. Discover that you have been forged with resilience akin to steel. The individual who embraces suffering voluntarily cannot be fractured. Many individuals find themselves confined within their own individuals. They are governed by their impulses. I fail to recognize. They articulate their thoughts prior. They engage in contemplation. They respond prior to their compute. They disclose their true nature unintentionally. Their intellects are receptive, domains that are accessible to all. Cultivate the seeds of apprehension, uncertainty, or longing. To attain extraordinary strength, one must secure those gates. It is imperative that one engages in the training of their consciousness until it responds solely to your command, not to dread, not to enjoyment, not to the weight of the multitude. Machiavelli held in high regard those leaders who possessed the fortitude to stand firm. Amidst turmoil, one can maintain composure due to they regarded each notion as a individual serving under directive, no information provided. Their assessment unless it demonstrated utility. Anger was restrained until the moment arrived to demonstration. Compassion was preserved until it fulfilled a function. Even happiness was distributed in limited quantities. Excessive amounts can shape a person. Negligent awareness constitutes the initial phase. The majority of individuals navigate existence by responding intuitively. They remain oblivious to the moments when they are being exploited. A rumor circulates, and they accept it as a reality. A challenge emerges, and they withdraw. A seductive allure sparkles, and they seize it. However, you shall acquire the knowledge to halt. That solitary interlude, that instant in which you withholding response marks the inception of regulation. Envision your intellect as a stronghold, adorned with towering stone barriers. Each contemplation requires examination at the entrance. Could you clarify if this is the case? Is fear a legitimate concern or merely a distraction? Is it the case that, does this desire serve my interests or does it bind me in chains? Myself, is this anger beneficial or will it reveal my true self? Should a notion fail to progress, upon inspection, it is dismissed. Above, with the passage of time, this evolves into a natural inclination. At one point, upon mastering this discipline, individuals will perceive an alteration in your essence. One shall proceed with a composed assurance. One will remain unperturbed in the face of insult. One shall do not hasten when under duress. It is unlikely that you will exult with restraint, even in triumph, for one understands that triumph is perpetually transient. This tranquility will induce discomfort in others. They shall ponder the contents of your thoughts. They shall ponder the intentions behind your plans. And anxiety proliferates most rapidly in obscurity. However, this tranquility does not stem from a desire to seem unfeeling. It pertains to liberating oneself from constraints. When your choices cease to be motivated through the lens of reason, one remains impervious to provocation. One must not be hurried. One must not be easily manipulated. Your adversaries will endeavor to ascertain what causes you pain, and they will discover nothing to seize. Construct this cognitive stronghold, stone by stone, during periods of heightened tension. Take a moment to decelerate rather than hastening. Elevate. In instances of enjoyment, recall, it is but a fleeting state, not a position of enduring power. Perch upon. In times of trepidation, recall that fear constitutes merely information rather than a mastery. The individual who exercises dominion over his intellect asserts control over his destiny. He does not reside at the capriciousness of emotions or circumstances. In the course of events, others are scattered like foliage in the wind. He strides directly through the tempest without yielding his resolve. Moreover, that is strength significantly more profound than mere muscle. Wealth, as it possesses an inherent quality of permanence. When your intellect transforms into a bastion, no subtle suggestions can influence your thoughts. No affront can disturb your equilibrium. No allure can sway you. Of course, action will ensue when you make a deliberate decision to take action. You shall act decisively when you make a determination to take action, and the world shall come to understand that you are an exceptional individual. You are something extraordinary, increasingly perilous. Many individuals believe that true strength resides in the physical form. They conceive that if they merely develop greater strength, increase endurance, or adhere to an optimal dietary regimen, they shall evolve formidable. However, the reality is more severe. The body does not embody strength in its entirety. It is merely a attendant, and akin to any attendant, it must submit or it assumes control. Examine the contemporary landscape. Individuals do not exert authority. Their physical forms, they engage in negotiations with them. I shall engage in work contingent upon my sense of restfulness. I shall relocate if I find myself inspired. I shall exert my influence if it is content. They attend to their own corporeal form, resembling an indulged youth, perpetually negotiating, abstaining from any form of discipline. And then they ponder why their resolve appears diminished. Machiavelli. One might characterize this as a display of folly, a leader unable to govern his own. The household lacks the requisite qualities to govern a state effectively. Similarly, an individual who lacks the ability to regulate his own body is inadequate to govern his fate. Your corporeal form ought not dictate your actions. Proceed when to cease, when to partake, or when to repose. You are in command. This does not imply that one should develop an obsession with facades. Vanity masquerades as a subtle form of weakness. Individuals who engage in training solely for the purpose of aesthetic appeal are beholden to the reflection. They do not possess their power. They lease it from the validation of peers. When the corporeal form, when they encounter failure, their sense of pride disintegrates alongside it. The genuine mastery of the body transcends mere molding it for acclaim. The subject pertains to transforming it into an instrument of power, one that possesses, responds promptly when summoned. Is it possible? Do you rise at dawn with acquiescence? Is it possible? Do you withstand hunger without expressing discontent? Is it possible? You persist in your endeavors long beyond the point of fatigue. Informs you to cease? These are not inquiries regarding physical well-being. These are inquiries of authority. Your body serves merely as an instrument, devoid of intrinsic value. Additional, and akin to any instrument, it becomes less effective if you refrain from utilizing it. Exert consistent effort, not for the sake of display. However, to demonstrate that your determination is more resilient than your corporeal form. In moments of suffering, embrace it as evidence that the directives are being adhered to. When exhaustion subtly suggests that your efforts have reached their conclusion, adequate, respond with an additional repetition, an additional step, an extra hour. The feeble exercise to attain well-being. The resilient engage in, adhere to their own principles. Each bead of perspiration is a communication. I exert influence over you. Each discomfort in your muscles serve as evidence. You are mine, rather than the reverse. In the vicinity, this field permeates all aspects of existence. Otherwise, a man who is unable to persevere, bodily unease will never compel. Through genuine challenges, if you succumb to distress due to hunger or fatigued, what actions will you undertake when are the stakes elevated? In moments of treachery, strikes occur as fortunes disintegrate. As are adversaries encroaching, your physique is the arena of conflict, the experimental domain where one acquires the ability to surmount obstacles prior. The world presents it to you, presenting the concealed benefit. Upon cessation, by honoring your physical form, you experience personal growth. More robust, you engage in training not to nourish yourself, yet to refine your determination. One acquires knowledge to regard the corporeal as dispensable in assistance to your objective. This renders you dreadful for individuals who prioritize ease due to their awareness of your propensity to engage in certain actions. You will surpass them through diligent effort. You will surpass them. You will endure greater hardship and persevere onward. Machiavelli held in high regard those individuals who demonstrated respect towards our existence serves as a resource to be utilized judiciously, not artifacts to be safeguarded in any manner. Expenditures. Care for your body with the same level of consideration preserve it, refine it, cultivate it. However, one should refrain from venerating it. A subordinate who is venerated transforms into a despot, and a despot. The corporeal form contributes to a fragile spirit. Directive. Yourself in entirety. When you articulate the command to advance, one must take action. When one speaks of enduring, one persevere. When one articulates the notion of conflict, one must engage in it earnestly. Within this compliance resides a profound resilience than any burden you might bear or accolade. Victory is within your grasp, the essence of a man whose body submits to his command. Moreover, when your own body harbors trepidation towards you, so too shall it manifest. All others, feeble individuals, dedicate their existence to evasion, absence. Resilient individuals dedicate their existence, selecting what to forego. That is the distinction. The general populace perceives strength as regarding attachment to all things, solace, connections, validation, stability. However, true strength is cultivated through the process of elimination. What tenderizes your spirit before life takes its toll? One might consider you. Machiavelli comprehended this principle of authority. Nothing of significance is accomplished without intentional expenditure. Monarchs who endeavored to, it appears that all have relinquished their positions of power. Commanders who declined to abandon their troops in the aftermath of defeated conflicts. In the realm of survival, emotional attachments can prove to be a hindrance. The individual who is unable to release their grasp is already bound by that to which he adheres. Examine the manner in which the majority of individuals conduct their lives. They accumulate. Convenience is akin to a precious treasure, yet it evokes a sense of terror and ease. They maintain associations with those lacking merit. To circumvent solitude, they engage in less demanding occupations. To mitigate potential hazards, they cling to negativity practices as relinquishing them would, affecting their sense of self-worth. Due to the fact that one should never opt for suffering, existence will inevitably bring its own trials, removes all that they possess in a singular moment. It is imperative that you take the contrary approach. Address. The act of sacrifice serves as a tool you refine oneself. Determine what you shall incinerate at this moment to avoid future discomfort. Relinquish your efforts. Indulgences that dull your acuity. Discontinued. Alliances that diminish your strength. Depart from the situation, from routes that culminate in futility, regardless of. They are quite straightforward. Each personal sacrifice you undertake. Terms represent a strategic allocation, a contribution towards the fortitude of your future. This matter does not pertain to unwarranted anguish. It pertains to methodical pursuit with intent. Contemplata. The commander relinquishing superfluous encumbrances. Prior to a confrontation, the procession transforms into more buoyant. The military advances with greater speed. Abandoning certain burdens liberates the spirit. It fortifies you against the apprehension of deprivation due to. You have already conditioned yourself to exist without the perspectives of others that are deemed essential. The greater your willingness to relinquish, the greater the peril you embody. In the presence of others, are apprehensive about the prospect of financial loss. You have already acquired the ability to live with minimalism. At what point others are apprehensive about relinquishing their sense of security? You have previously endured the discomfort of resting upon frigid surfaces. When others are consumed by the fear of loss, my dear companions, you have traversed this path in solitude. What potential arguments or evidence might they employ if you have already relinquished all that they? What would be the duration? There exists a rationale behind Machiavelli. Commended leaders who prioritized survival over emotional disposition. He was aware that a prince prepared to relinquish his own comfort, even one's own standing, could not be confined. Such individuals seem devoid of compassion. However, in reality, they exist in a state of unencumbered liberty, liberated from apprehension regarding the experience of loss. Commence with modest beginnings. Abandon an indulgence on a weekly basis, not for eternity, however, sufficiently extensive to demonstrate your mastery over it. Negation. The reverse is true. Decline an invitation that you surreptitiously find superfluous. Devote an evening to productive endeavors rather than diverting your attention. Every action to sacrifice is not to exhibit weakness. This serves as evidence that you are shaping yourself into an entity more acute than mere happenstance. Do not conflate this with self-discipline. You are not undermining your own well-being. You are indeed shaping one's identity. Michelangelo at one point stated that he sculpted figures through the process of meticulously removing material, all that which lay outside the illustration. The principle of sacrifice operates in a similar manner. You meticulously eliminate frailty until only strength remains. Persists. Upon achieving mastery of sacrifice, one instill fear in others effortlessly. They perceive a man impervious to the allure of ease, hindered by opulence, or immobilized by trepidation of solitude. They observe an individual who will make his selection, prioritizing objectives above personal emotions consistently, and that renders you formidable due to the fact that you are prepared to relinquish what others revere. You may seize all that they. The notion was beyond reproach. The individual who regards sacrifice as a companion is no longer subjugated by the external realm. He does not attach significance to material belongings, designations, or endorsement. Consequently, he is unable to be influenced. He selects what to forfeit, and in this selection, he emerges victorious. The most formidable individual is not merely the individual capable of withstanding greater suffering or exert greater determination. It is the individual who eludes comprehension, indeed, must be foreseen, cannot be confined. At what point individuals possess a precise understanding of your identity and mannerisms, one will respond as they possess the knowledge to overcome. One might consider the implications of your existence. Predictability signifies a lack of strength, veiled as uniformity. The majority of individuals project their internal experiences, resembling a transparent narrative. Their visages disclose each contemplation. Their practices are never transformation. Their expressions reveal their anxieties and their aspiration. One slight and they detonate. A single commendation and they become more pliable. They resemble mechanisms with discernible fasteners. Select the appropriate option and you exercise total dominion over them. To exist beyond the bounds of humanity, it is imperative that you eliminate those buttons. Machiavelli held in high regard those leaders who operated with discretion, their underlying intentions, and altered their conduct with meticulous accuracy. They exhibited a consistent demeanor. They exhibited a calculated approach. Their adversaries could never ascertain whether they might concede or challenge, pardon or eradicate. This ambiguity was inherently a armament. Commence by obscuring your feelings, not through the pretense of exuberance, yet by rendering oneself incomprehensible. At what point, when faced with provocation, it is prudent to maintain composure. When something brings you satisfaction, it is wise to refrain from displaying it. When an experience evokes fear within you, particularly refrain from displaying it. Individuals experience trepidation, that which eludes quantification, and one cannot quantify an individual whose visage is a facial covering. Subsequently, diversify your approaches. Refrain from, maintain consistency in your manner of expression and location. You proceed, whom you support, or the manner in which you engage in a reply. Allow others to believe they grasp your essence. Subsequently demonstrate their fallacy at that very instant. Is of paramount importance. Ambiguity fosters. Exercise prudence, as those who are careful tend to refrain from taking unnecessary risks. Assault. When one is inscrutable, one's strength is amplified. Rivals exhibit a degree of uncertainty, pondering how to. I present to you a challenge. Your allies hold you in higher regard. The allure of mystery amplifies the perception of power than existence, and adversaries cease their schemes due to their inability to discern the appropriate direction. Demonstration. Even treachery diminishes in its potency when uncertainty prevails regarding your direction. Rotate. This is not a matter of embracing chaos for the sake of knowledge itself. Unpredictability represents not impulsiveness, it represents authority. the pinnacle of governance. The decision rests in your hands, when to exhibit generosity and when to refrain. Ruthless, you determine the timing of your progression and when to maintain your position. It is you. Ascertain the appropriate moment to disclose your capabilities and when to conceal it completely. Contemplate a creature that hunts within the natural world. The most perilous entity is not the one that emits a continuous roar, yet the one that progresses with quietude and occurs unexpectedly. Individuals harbor apprehensions not solely towards that which possesses great strength, however, what remains undiscovered. If they are unable to anticipate your subsequent action, one may envision it to be more dire than it truly is. That apprehension, in and of itself, integrates into your authority. Machiavelli articulated that a sovereign ought to embody the qualities of both the lion and the fox, possessing the capability to engage in battle with great intensity when necessary and capable of doing so. To mislead when engaging in direct confrontation would be ill-advised. Upon achieving mastery over the unpredictable, you exemplify the duality. You are not merely robust, you exist beyond the reach of others. When others anticipate your submission, assert your dignity. Quiet, when one anticipates your capacity for forgiveness. Assault, when they anticipate your fury. Exhibit a smile, when they anticipate your actions. Yield, progress, every instance you challenge. Anticipation, you instruct the universe that no one truly comprehends your essence. In the absence of others, understands you, no one can possess you. The individual, those who remain unreadable cannot be dismantled. His strength transcends mere endurance or self-control, yet within the apprehension he cultivates, due to its inherent unpredictability. Moreover, that fear serves as a more formidable shield than any armor could provide. It is possible you have now observed each phase in its entirety. The segment of the pathway is crafted to eliminate the gentleness that undermines the strength of many individuals, and substitute it with something that remains unparalleled. Intermission. Let us synthesize the various elements into a cohesive whole. Initially, one must first cultivate the ability to dismantle comfort. Comfort leads to one's own undoing. Inadequate individuals allow existence. Evaluate them according to their own criteria. Robust individuals undergo examination themselves as a priority. They rise earlier than they desire, endure for a more extended period than they ought to, eliminate all forms of extravagance that renders them sluggish in combat. Furthermore, you cultivate the ability to govern your thoughts rather than being governed by them. Provide. Fear, uncertainty, and sentiment are instruments for the individuals who wield them, restraints for individuals who do not. Should you fail to possess your own thoughts, another individual will take on that responsibility. Third, you have acquired knowledge that your body does not serve as a sacred monument to revere. It serves as an instrument of authority. 1. Do not engage in training solely for the purpose of appearing strong. You engage in training to demonstrate that your body conforms to your intentions. Undoubtedly. Fourth, you have acquired knowledge. The potency is amplified by enigma. When individuals are unable to anticipate your actions, is beyond my control. When they are unable, they comprehend you, they are apprehensive of you. A gentleman who possesses both the lion and the fox, as Machiavelli articulated, are inconceivable to confine. What is the significance of all this? What does it signify? True strength is not merely one particular skill, one specific workout, or a singular perspective. It represents a complete metamorphosis. From within outward, your intellect must be refined. One must cultivate discipline within the body. Your demeanor should remain enigmatic. Collectively, these transform you into an entity uncommon, a man whom no one would dare to challenge due to he remains unyielding, remains so, subjected to manipulation, and remains unstoppable. If one must approach these lessons with utmost seriousness, one will cease the pursuit of strength for applause. You shall cease to quantify yourself by the opinions or perceptions of others. You shall cultivate strength through your endeavors. Decline to embody any alternative. Moreover, that this particular form of strength remains enduring. The inquiry at hand is straightforward. Will you accept? What is the initial step? Will you rise tomorrow and select suffering prior to its selection of you? Will you direct your thoughts and your physical form rather than allowing them to dictate? How about you? Will you maintain an aura of enigma sufficient to maintain an air of uncertainty for adversaries and supporters alike? Is it appropriate to show respect? The majority of individuals are likely to observe this and acquiesce in conjunction. Subsequently, they will return to the same gentle rituals, the familiar void of solace, the same expected patterns that have perpetually maintained their fragility. However, you are not the majority of individuals. If you have remained engaged for this duration, you are inherently distinct. You have already recognized this reality. Strength is not bestowed upon us. It is occupied, and you seize it with determination by shaping oneself through trials until emptiness has the capacity to influence you. The world is not progressing more straightforward. It is becoming more acute, more frigid, and increasingly antagonistic. However, that belongs to you. Benefit. As others falter, you shall develop with greater intensity, while others beseech to become. Once liberated, you shall possess an unwavering resolve. Moderate your emotions, forge yourself into something unyielding, and when life presents its challenges, you shall remain unyielding. 1. Will incisively penetrate it. If this is the case, the video provided a genuine experience, an essence. If you are able to utilize it, subsequently demonstrate its validity. Kindly express your approval by clicking like, subscribe, and continue to cultivate your personal development. Here, the feeble-minded shall drift away, the resolute shall remain and continue to refine the blade. Which one do you identify as?